Okie dokie, so what we're doing today, thought I'd have a walk through the progression map. So this is map 58. My fighter is around about 700,000 and the map is demanding around about 1.4 million. So ship's significantly underpowered compared to the map. And I've been on this one for about 16, 17 days at this point. This is just a couple of runs through basically, and you can see how I'm trying different things or making mistakes in various different places and all that sort of stuff. And we'll start off on this one. I mean, it's a standard startup. We got some decent power ups to start, but you can see that it's taken a little while to kill stuff. One of the things that I was trying to do in this was to try and practice really close combat fighting. So one of the powers that we've got, or one of the weapons we've got, which is the Winggun, it launches balls of electricity out the front of the ship. And it only launches them it launches them in an arc, or a cone, sorry, out of the front of the ship. So the closer you can get your ship to the mob, the more of the ball of lightning hits that single mob, and the further away they are, the wider the spread of the attack and the less concentrated it is. So by you being really, really close to them, you can concentrate your damage output onto the mobs, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Is I'm trying to teach myself to be as close to the mobs as possible to see if it makes much difference. There's varying successes that I had with this. As you can see, this is the first time I was really sitting right on top of it, and it's also the first time I tried to use Siren in this, with the idea that it's so underpowered compared to the map that I'm going to get killed if I get hit once anyway, so I might as well be running Siren in damage mode, because that means I've got a 50% damage boost, which is about 20% more than the Titan ship, the Thor ship that we have, if it was full forward. This also gives us an opportunity to take a glancing blow and recover from it, so it's a decent progression ship, I find. Here we go. Concentrating on that close-up combat, see how much we can get through it. One thing when you're working at this kind of difference of level, I've found that the ground-based stuff is just like outrageously important compared to the things that are flying. So there's multiple things on this particular map that make it difficult. You've got the instant death lasers, which always appear on your load screens. You've got the boats with the multiple missiles that are fast flowing. They can chase you around in multiple direction shifts. You get multiple lasers at the same time, and you get a lot of concentrated fire all in the same sort of space. This landscape you see here, this is a good example. This one comes up quite a lot. 2 lasers on that left hand side on the slope up. Make sure you're ready for them. Make sure you start recognizing the landscape when you're going through it. When you're looking at this kind of level difference as well, being able to move is really, really important. So being able to split the bullets by moving to the opposite sides of the screen, or to make sure that you're not getting yourself closed down against a wall or against the side of a stream of planes or anything like that. Make sure that you're always on the move and looking for opportunities to escape it. So there I chose to go supergun on the wing gun rather than the main gun. Not sure if that was a mistake right now. Probably is, basically, since we're coming up to map 14 or level 14, wave 14, which has got the bomber on it and all of the mines and all that sort of stuff, and you could probably do with the firepower of the main gun at this point. So let's have a look. How well do I do? Wave 14 is often a blocker on a lot of the difficult maps. But here we've got a laser turret coming on the right hand side. This landmass that you see coming up, this often has a multi-shot ship like that one, followed by a missile ship, followed by lasers, and sometimes it's 2 lasers, sometimes it's 1 laser, sometimes it's Okay, so that didn't go quite according to plan. Let's have another go. Missiles to start. So missiles, wing gun, they're always quite good startup powers anyway dear, because you get double the amount of output from them straight away. What happened there was running into the aeroplanes, so I didn't even get a chance to get hit by the laser at that point. It was just running into a plane. And you can see from how I paused afterwards that I was really annoyed by this because it's just burned by energy for nothing really. So having burned it, might as well continue and we'll see how it goes. You can tell already from where my ship is on the screen, the speed that the ship's reacting or moving. I'm quite annoyed already, and it's because of losing that life so early, and it's just like, right, you need to get serious for this. And unfortunately it does, is it proves one thing, is don't fly angry, because this doesn't go so great. You can see which ships and planes that I think are a threat the most. And loosely it goes laser turrets, missile ships, blue bullet boats, and then anything that flies. So the big stuff that's flying around is quite irregular, you just ignore it until all of the little stuff's done and out of the way. The little ships, at this kind of power level difference, the little ships pose a problem as in, you can see at the start of the map that you can die just driving into one of them, but also there's a lot of them, so it takes longer to kill them all. It means your movement is cut down from where you can go on the screen, which means you can get pinned against that row of planes quite easily. So they actually become a bit of a priority as well. Big long laser ships, laser copters, those are annoying. Here you can see the ship struggling with the amount of small planes coming in. It could really do with having the next main gun power up at this point. And it's still not getting it. So I'm just suck it up with more of the wing gun balls, which there you go. That's being angry and playing. It doesn't get you very far. Let's try again. That's a bit of a better startup. So we've got a wing gun and a main gun choice. Main gun is the better one in this particular circumstance. Gives you further reach of the screen with the Thor gun, which is Thor's main gun's big problem, is that it doesn't have distance from the start, whereas both Conqueror and Destroyer have got unlimited distance for their attacks. Destroyers can penetrate from the word go. Thor's definitely had a bit of a rum deal on this one. It's going a bit better this time. On the refresh, no main power, so it's just going to be a skill, unfortunately. I'm left with the attack rate skill on the wing gun, which is a bit rubbish. One thing I really don't like is being shot at from down lower on the screen. It makes it very difficult to dodge if your hand's in the way of the screen when you're playing. Again, working that right on top of the mobs. If you can get the wing gun to launch when you're on top of one of those big mobs, it's just like a bomb's hit it. It can take a huge amount of hit points off the mob really quickly. If you time it right, it's great, and they just come on the screen and they get hit by the full wing gun load, and they just kill them before they get on the screen really. I'm obviously playing a little bit calmer this game. The other thing I'm doing here, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm trying to play it into the top half of the screen more than anywhere else. If you're higher up, it seems like it's harder for them to get focused or target you. And it's easier for you to dodge because the bullet's going across the screen. So you just need to move up or down slightly rather than when you're right at the bottom. If you're moving left or right, they can spray the whole space with bullets in your dodge. If you're moving fast and you're hitting one of those multi-bullet ships, then they can cover the whole screen and make it so you've got no space. Whereas if you're at the top, you only need to make a small maneuver to get out of the way of quite a lot of the attacks. It's really good for laser turrets because you can see them focusing in on it. Round about where I am now, it's up like 2/3 the way up. You've got the whole screen to avoid the lasering, and you can just jerk react to where the lasers are. And you're already on top of them, so all of your weaponry is doing more damage because there's more of those hit points in your guns hitting them because you're right on top of them. When now I've got the super gun version of the main gun, still at the top of the screen. So all of the same things still apply, and my craft is still lower than the target of the map. This is the first big test. If you can get the main gun to super by this first ship, it makes it so much easier. If your main gun is blue, then that ship is basically impossible. If the main gun's yellow, then yeah, it's alright. You really need to have support from some of the other weaponry. But if it's red, either red non-supered or red supered, you've got a much bigger chance of actually getting through it okay. At the moment, the main gun's ahead of the damage requirements for the wave. So the main gun's just basically cutting stuff up pretty fast. And the laser turrets are going down quickly. The bigger turrets are going down, or the bigger ships and planes, helicopters are going down pretty fast. The little planes are just being annihilated really quickly. So at the moment, we're at an advantage to where the map is. And it's this kind of time where you really need to start packing out some of your other skills. Either a magnet would be useful, even just one tier magnet, because as you get further through, you get more stars and you actually start losing what's going on in the battle because you've got so many stars kicking around. So I always find taking a single magnet is good, but primarily you'd be trying to get whatever secondary weapon you had highest up to its super level as well. So I'm aiming for missiles on this one by the look of it. Again, working those wing bombs or wing gun bullets. There's a bit of a trade-off between missiles and wing guns, because the wing guns, it really benefits you to be right on top of them, whereas the missiles have got a turning arc and the missiles come out from behind your ship, so if you're right on top of them, your missiles aren't going to hit the same target and they'll circle round and round. Whereas if you want the missiles to do well, you have to be further away, but that minimises the impact of your wing guns. Here I'm opting to use the wing gun damage. You can see how it's straight away changed the target from one to another. Effectively the big ship could be not there, and we'll just ignore it and move on to the more dangerous targets such as the missile ships or the laser ships. One thing about going through this mission for 16 days, thereabouts, it made me starting to count the attacks. So the lasers launch a laser every 6 seconds once they put that laser beam on you. If they have not tracked a laser beam onto you, they'll still fire it and you can still count it, so you'll know when your next 6 seconds are up and you need to dodge. The rocket ships, I think, were 4 seconds or 3 seconds. Much quicker. You can't really afford to sit on top of them. And then wave 29 for the next big ship. Your main gun can no longer cut the mines to pieces. So now I have to be wary of blowing up mines behind you, which launches them backwards and back up the screen. The mines will bounce off the left, the right and the top of the screen, but they will not bounce off the bottom of the screen. So if you're blowing stuff up, it really should be in front of you so that it can bounce away from you. And if you're blowing stuff up behind you, then expect to be hit by them. It's maps like this, you really have an advantage when you've got the ad removed purchase, because every single option that would have had an advert on it, you can just choose immediately, and you don't lose your vibe, you don't lose your concentration span, so you can just quickly zip through those menus and still benefit from the best bits. It was the single biggest upgrade, even though strictly speaking it's no equipment upgrade, but it was the single biggest upgrade and change to playing the game for me, was going into ad-free mode. So now the Winggun is really not cutting them to pieces anymore. You're having to go back to being right on top of them, practicing that close combat, counting the totals, and launching smart bomb for absolutely no reason whatsoever. That arrangement of boats there, that's what I should have been smart bombing, but I smart bombed beforehand and then ran out of the circle of impact of the smart bomb, which meant I died. So not a very good move, that one. That's just used to life for no reason at all. Bullets are hanging around quite a lot longer now. The screen's getting a lot busier. And the upgrades are really not helping us very much here. It doesn't seem to matter at this point in time. If you've got all of the hearts, you're still not going to survive a direct impact from a laser beam. That laser turret on the right there, that's one that always used to catch me out until I was finally remembering that it was there. But we're now up to that 4-boat configuration, which could potentially have 2 lasers, 2 rockets, 1 bullet ship in it, and 1 blue bullet ship. This has got 2 missile ships, cutting a bit fine there, and 2 lasers. And you see I just got squeezed against the side of that row of planes. The reality of what should have happened there was moved to the left, taken out that row of planes. That would put me in a better position for the missile ships to avoid them, and also for the crossing laser beams to avoid. Also, if I was further up the screen, those crossing lasers wouldn't have been so much of an issue either, because they would have cut off less of the screen for movement. So let's try it again. This time it's given us a bit of a bone. It's given us the bullet ship on the right hand side starter, not the laser turret on the left hand side starter. This starter seems to be much easier, although I seem to be making a bit of a mess of it there. Only just survived that one. That was another one of those insta-death kind of environments where you have to be pressing the upgrade button and moving at the same time, but it's really set the scene for this one. Having died there, do I recover is a big question. When I've found generally if I'm dying before level 14, then it's not going to go very far. If I'm dying after level 14, then there's a higher chance that it'll make it to like level 42 or thereabouts. But quite often it'll hit 30, and I've already lost a life by that point, in which case you're toast, you're done. So red laser, but I'm still right on top of them. So trying to really maximise the amount of impact that all of the guns have on such a short target, and letting the missiles just deal with whatever's flying around, like the planes. Here you can see them getting squeezed by the planes, and then you've got that dual laser head coming in there. Not a great place to be, but recovered okay. And super, hurrah! So super by level 9, or wave 9, even though I've lost a life. It's looking promising. I'm probably feeling pretty good at this point and saying, yep, yeah, I can pull this around. I can make this work. So, interesting choice of power up there. I chose the Winggun skill, the Winggun attached skill, to get my Winggun up into super mode sooner than otherwise. I was really hoping for a Winggun there, but missile will have to do. Not a huge amount of great choices there. Crit it is, although crit's never really a bad choice. I've not got the damage numbers on this particular playthrough. I went through a period of not having the damage numbers on. I seem to change mine based on wherever really. But having the damage numbers on really shows how often you crit versus how often you do not. And it's really, really telling to show that crit power up is probably the most powerful of the skills, because it just double damages you all the time. So it's better than increased damage output, because if the attack one is boosting you 40%, crit is still boosting you 100%. If your attack rate is boosting you 40% of acceleration and on frequency of the attack, crit is still outstripping it. So I always go crit first, and then the others just whenever. I'll always make sure I've got one in the attack rate and one in the attack itself, just to get the weapon supered. But crit's the most important one by far. Now it's cutting it up a bit. So the ship's in that sort of good space and time where it's currently ahead of the mob's strength, and we're staying ahead of it by using crit. We can basically cut big mobs into pieces really, really quickly if you get a few crits on them, especially if you're dropping Winggun bombs on them at the same time. So coming up to potentially 2 laser turrets on the left. I'm getting 2. What's my choice? Okay, I'm not sure why that was quite such a hard choice, but never mind. So we didn't get 2 lasers on the left, which means we'll get a rocket turret on the right hand side now. There we go. Oh, yep. And sometimes you get the rocket turret and then a laser boat on the left, but there we got the laser boat. Oh, we didn't get a laser boat at all, we just got a rocket turret. There's the choice of the magnet to start clearing the stars out so that we're just getting a bit of a clearer playing field. We're going to laser turret on the left, right, there you go. And this is the bit where it's coming up to the 4 boats, or 5 boats. So what are we going to get here? We're going to get 2 lasers, or 2 rockets, or all of it. There's your blue guy. Single rocket, 2 lasers. And I actually got hit by a bullet rather than the lasers itself. So that or potentially a rocket from that rocket ship. Go on to the last life now. There you go. It was going so well. Right, let's give it another go. Good start. Main gun. Bring it on. Bit eager there, and I've just managed to cut myself off and hide myself in the corner. That was a really stupid move. So I need to pull it back, get in front of it, and get rid of that laser turret as fast as possible. And still cut myself off. So not making some great decisions right now. And this is what I often find is I'll do one level well and then one level badly. And it's just like flip-flops between the two as my attention capabilities just lapse. Oh, close. Playing a bit fast, a bit loose on this. Go on, crit. That's it. And what are the boats that we're going to get coming into this area here? Here's the first one, blues. So always led by a blue, 1 rocket, 2 lasers. Let's find out. No lasers. Okay, so the game's being kind to us there. Other than killing us, of course. The yellow gun at this point, it's still not actually cutting it. It's taken a long time over those planes, which should be just destroyed immediately. So it went from it looking like quite a promising game to not very promising by missing out on one of the power-up options on the main gun at the start. It really does come down to when you're this far behind the demand of the map, you really need to get the upgrades in the appropriate order, otherwise it's almost impossible to complete it. And whenever I've been on progression maps, it's always been a success when I've had a really good run of power-ups at the start. Go. So still no main gun. The wing gun's good in this early parts of the map though. Before the map gets too busy, you can really concentrate on taking down individual mobs rather than the whole mob group itself. That's not a very good set of options at this point in the game. Refresh. I'll do. We're on the way to super in the wing gun instead of the main gun. As long as you're close enough, and as long as you time it right, the laser turrets aren't really a problem when you've got the wing gun up quite high. Pleased that the bullets were disappeared there. If they watch the enemy's health on these, as soon as the wing gun bomb hits them, it really knocks a huge chunk of HP off them. That's the wing gun up to super. The main downside of the wing gun being at super is you've got this, all of a sudden you've got that big field of electric ball in the middle of your playing field, And it does get in the way sometimes. You just lose track of where it's going because it creates this like explosion point at the same time. So using it non-supered but at its top level is still a viable option. It's just not going to do as much damage. And that was just dumb. I mean, that was just like a bomb under my hand, basically. At this point, I'm probably annoyed because this was going, while the upgrades aren't great, it had been going okay up until that point. So, main gun is up to red eventually, hooray. But we're kind of on par for what the game's expecting the strength of the gun to be at. So you can see it's still taking a little bit of time to cut through the small planes. It's still taking a little bit more time to cut through the missile boats and the boats in general. Do we get 2 lasers at this point? 1. Okay. We've dispensed with the big boss, so it should be okay to clear the rest. There you go. Nine blue bullet chip, get rid of that. Well, we know we've got a laser coming in, so you need to shift out from your menu as fast as possible and get rid of that laser, because you've got 6 seconds to get rid of it. I wish you'd do something about the hearts though. They're basically pointless once you're past level 20. They add so little hit points to your ship that there's no real point. When you're going to get hit for 45,000 damage, 400 health isn't going to make any difference. It should be, they should change the hearts to be based on the percentage of your ship's health, rather than seemingly just an arbitrarily small number that is only relevant for low level ships. It's going okay. Getting the mobs fairly quickly. Could do with the main gun going super, but what am I doing? That curve, the incoming ships that curve around and then come back up, I still get caught out by those. So hurrah, the main gun is at super level now. Unfortunately the game's round about the level where it's expecting me to be at super, so it's not a huge advantage. You can still chew through things with the standard on top of them sticking and bombing them with the wing gun. And the main gun now provides a support and clearance all around the ship. Close. See, in an ideal world, those planes wouldn't be able to get through the other side of the main gun. This can quite often be tricky with this big guy in the middle if you get loads of laser turrets. But it looks like we might be alright on this one. It's cutting this guy up quite well. think that the types of ships I'm getting have been fairly tolerable. Not getting caught up by the mines yet. Still time. That's one of the things I've noticed about having the drones, is that they're really quite good at picking out the stray running mines and such like. The downside is that they're also good at blowing stuff up that's right behind you when it launches, so you need to be a little bit careful, but you can kind of trust them to nuke some of the stuff in the distance while it's far away from you, so you don't have to chase every single mine. It took me another couple of days on this. I switched to the Commander Mina and evolved her up to a couple, I think level 3, so you get about 30% of your health back. Still using Siren for practice, and then managed to crack it with a Thor run, where I realised that I wasn't actually using Siren's damage output. And I was thinking, well, if I can survive without getting hit too hard, then I'm not going to use Siren's health booster either, so I might as well use Thor. Used the full Thor setup, and it managed to get us through this map, and that was pretty cool. And having been stuck on it for 17, 18 days or thereabouts, 16 days maybe. I'm now stuck on map 60, so but it's the same sort of deal. The fighter's just too underpowered for it. I think on this one, the requirement is 1.4 million. It felt different when my fighter got up to about 740,000, which isn't a huge amount of difference, but it just felt like they were dying that little bit faster and clearing the mobs just that little bit quicker, and it just made just a little bit of a difference, enough to be able to get through it. It's getting a bit too busy now. There's too much stuff going on now. That was almost a mistake, running through that laser there. Yeah, this is coming to the end. We're not clearing the stuff fast enough now. Okay. There we go.